guest today is the Auburn Community Church membership, and we'd like to welcome you all here. We're going to go through our regular business, and then go on with just little things we want to do for the evening. Okay, minute approval, regular meeting, June 21st.
I had no additions or corrections.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mike?
Yes.
PJ?
Yes.
Okay, we have scheduled reports. Frank Hitko.
So the trustees should all have a copy of the report for June. We issued 15 permits total. Hotspot as far as new homes, Moreland Drive, or 5 new homes in the year on plus there's 3 carryovers from last year that I've done, so there's quite a bit of activity there. And as far as I know, there hasn't been a great deal of issue as far as closure to Stafford Road or potential closure to Stafford Road, but there may be in the future. Jane and I spent quite a bit of time on a couple issues. Mike's been involved in one involving something that really isn't our cup of tea or our expertise. It has to do with erosion control and a subdivision that predates riparian setback issues or compliance, and I suggested that the parties to go to the homeowners association, which is liable and existed, and if they want my assistance as far as dealing with the hauling Army Corps of Engineers, we will do that. But we as the township road department has also been involved quite extensively and try to make the parties understand that the township cannot own private property, including drainage ditches or swales that go to a wetlands that belong to private people. So it's become a pretty, I think I've spent 5 hours with the 2 parties in total, and then Jane has spent several hours, and Troy has been involved with long, but it's just people don't understand, that you have a stream on your property, you don't own that property. The property, that stream belongs to the state or the federal government, and they have jurisdiction over what you can and cannot do sometimes in the streams, and people don't like to be told that. One other issue I would like to, this has been our policy, and just want you guys, we've been, more and more people want to email in prints, drawings, and the issues with that is we cannot verify measurements. In other words, when you take a large drawing and take it down to an 11 by 14 piece of paper, I cannot verify that you are 50 feet off the property line and 30 feet off the property line. We get a lot of flack about that, but our policy has been that drawings to scale. And, some of the current builders have been fighting us about it, but we're sticking to that policy. So if you get some calls from builders on it, that's our policy. You don't have the equipment to downsize and then bring it back up. So
The thing is, if you're doing a reduction and then bringing it back up, you're still affecting the accuracy of the original copy.
Right.
So we have to deal with what they've got to do our measurements, and you definitely can't do it off of reduced copies because it's hard enough to do it off an original.
Right. So you may get some calls because several of the builders, one of them is very upset, didn't understand why can't you do this?
Is that the standard?
Well, the county building department does allow for the prints to be scanned in, but they don't deal with locations of houses, they just deal with the size of the buildings.
And then the other townships.
I don't know, I haven't spoken to one or two, and they're in the same boat as we are, at this point in time.
I think that the county has a little more capability to take a digitized copy and do a full printout that's accurate.
They're normally dealing with, with a house or drawings for a house, where we're dealing with, 2 and 3 acre lots sometimes or more, and,
Yeah, and the county offices were so adamant about the code protocols too.
Right,
They
right.
wanted it to go digital everything.
yeah, that was the other issue. But the two builders that were having the most difficulty with, this is the first time they built in Auburn, and to my knowledge, this is the first time they built a job county. One of them I've had to force them to move the driveway, and they don't want to do it, and I said, well, then I'm not issuing you. So,
You gotta stick to your guns, Frank.
so you may get a call there too, but I think we've got it resolved now. That's something we may have to look into in the future. That's all I have.
Why he's willing to talk to his constituents. All right? Thank you, Frank. Okay, Emory Gordon Township Superintendent.
He's on vacation. Although I think he just checked in with Nancy for a length of time. I think I heard that.
He is on vacation. I didn't get a report from him.
Okay, so he's on vacation this week, so we'll table his report until the next meeting. Okay. Trustee reports, Mr. Kavanaugh. All right, Mr. Kavanaugh.
Yeah, I'm going to pass largely on my report tonight, but since we have so many new people here tonight, I want to make clear that this is a board of 3, and Mr. Everly has been, John's been having some significant health issues for some time, and we were able to zoom in him into meetings as he was going through therapy and procedures and whatnot, and that law expired on July 1st, so other than physical presence, he doesn't have the ability to participate in meetings anymore. I'm kind of sorry to see that. He has been contributing throughout and continues to. So just some thoughts and prayers for Mr. Everly's continued improvement for health, and I'll pass the rest of my time.
Okay. Fred?
We have a couple of items. Two resolutions here. First one is for supplemental appropriations, resolution 2021-18. Be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of Auburn Township, Geauga County, Ohio, that the following supplemental appropriations are necessary: $2,750 to account 1,110,213 for Medicare employee share, $3,000 to account 1,110,315 election expenses.
Motion to adopt.
Second?
Mike,
Yes.
PJ,
Yes.
and then resolution 2021-19 for reallocation of appropriations. Be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of Auburn Township, Geauga County, Ohio, the following reallocation of appropriations are necessary: $40,000 from account 2031-33420, operating supplies, to be moved to account 2031-760-741, machinery, equipment, and furniture. That is in the Road and Bridge Fund.
All right, motion to adopt.
I'll second.
Before I forget, we do have a road and bridge levy that's expiring this year. Mike,
Yes.
PJ,
Yes.
and it's a 1 mil levy, it's a renewal, so we need to keep that in mind, and we have to put that on the ballot this year. It can go on, we could wait until next year, but this is one of those where we get 2 shots at it.
Well, I don't oppose doing one of those as long as it's in the general election, so. Do you need a motion to start the paperwork for that?
No, I'll put together a resolution for that for the next meeting and get that rolling. We'll have to get it rolling. That's all.
What do you think?
Well, I think if, we should just do it with the regular election. People have been pretty good about these. I think Mr. Everly has made, his budget is very clear and what we need to keep things rolling. And I'd say we should just put it on this year.
Okay. All right, I'll get that prepared. That's all I have.
Okay. Under new business, and this has kind of been a while on to come through. Remember a couple of years ago, our phone system, we were having problems with it, and the phones were no longer made, and a couple of phones went out, and we managed to find some on eBay to keep the system running, so it's been running for the last couple of years. But they have been, Nancy and working with Chief Phillips, have come up with a new plan. And again, comparing the old plan to the new plan. This will have 6 office suites, 6 middle hand sets, 500 meg fiber optic, IP address, wireless mods, unlimited local long distance calling. And when the smoke clears, we'll have all new equipment, a much better system, and a reduction of $168.61 per month. Our current rate was $659.56. It'll be dropping to $490.95. Chief, you want to make any additional comments on that? I know you were working with some additional lines for the systems here, and
The whole system as a whole is going to bring our phone system up to date with a IP address system. The system we have now is a key system at the admin building. It's outdated. And what's really nice about this is we're improving things, plus we're going to fiber optics for here at Adam Hall and down at the administration building and also the road department. And we're saving money on our monthly bill. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, I was at that meeting with Nancy and you and the lady from Windstream. There was something about a hard line we had to have, the copper line was needed to have for security. What was that?
We resolved that issue. The alarm systems have to have 2 ways out, but they have cell phone modems with them now that decode, so you don't have to have that second way out anymore.
okay. I'm going to make a motion that we go ahead with the Windstream proposal. The changes would be $512.95 per month.
Yeah, for a second, there was one more question we had out of that, and Fred, that was for UAN. Is this going to work for you then?
Yeah, the issue that we were looking at was getting a static IP address, which would allow us to log in remotely for one thing. And the other thing too is it would make it easier for multiple users to be on UAN so that Nancy could enter in requisitions, or even Emmer could enter in requisitions. Nancy could enter in receipts, so it'll definitely help in that regard.
Static IP address is a lot more stable
Yeah, that
than
was
what
just
you're doing right now.
at the end of that meeting. That's what I remember, 2 things we had to hash out for those 2. So, Since that's been done, I'll second it. It's cheaper.
Mike,
Yes.
PJ,
Yes.
Okay, I'll sign these off then. Okay, next order of business, approve the 2022 budget. I make a motion to approve the budget as presented.
Second.
Mike,
Yes.
PJ,
Yes.
Okay, and then we have reimbursement from the Geauga County Veterans Service, $100 memorial event. Do we need to make a motion to put that somewhere, Fred? To go in the general fund, or?
it would typically go in the general fund, and then we could transfer it to somewhere else.
Yeah, it's Memorial Day expenses is what that was.
Yeah. All right, I'll make a motion to put $100 into the general fund.
Second.
Okay, and finally, in new business, we have to appoint a designee to receive public records training for elected officials.
Hold on, Mike, we have to vote on the customer. Mike,
Yes.
PJ,
Yes.
Okay, appoint a designee to receive public records training for elected officials. I look around the room, PJ, and
You know, even though she's here to defend herself, I think we could probably outmuscle her, so. Nancy Dolezal would be excellent at that.
I think she's the perfect choice. I will second. Congratulations, Nancy.
Mike,
Yes.
PJ,
It's only a 3-hour class.
You can tough it out. Okay. And that takes us to final order of business, which is the Auburn Community Church Acknowledgement Program. And I just wanted to say a little something before I pass this over to Mr. Kavanaugh. So I wouldn't forget, because I'm getting old. On behalf of the Auburn Township, I would like thank the board for its generous donation to our community. We really appreciate it, and it's something that's going to be able to go into an area that really is kind of backburnered in our budget. I wasn't a member of the church, but my family had gone there for a number of Easters and Christmases, and Gordon Lang married my daughter. Had always had them helping out with the Memorial Day festivities here. And I've been there for funerals for neighbors and friends, and I'm sure, my story isn't different from anybody else's in the community. Even though a lot of people weren't members, they still have some tie-in and some memories or something that they've done in the church over the years. And it's just that the church is really a community church. And that the community church name couldn't be more fitting for something where they would take people in whether they're members or not, and would help you out in any way they could. The donation is going to be used for cemetery maintenance and for the Auburn Museum. I think it's kind of fitting that, there's basically 175 years of church members in the cemeteries, and to be able to go back now and be able to make sure those stones are kept up to date and properly maintained is going to help to keep the history alive. And the other portion of the donation is for the Auburn Museum. We've done some, we have the altar at the museum.
The altar's there, it's pictured, it's on the photo album.
And some other items that, again, the money being used in the museum, which will now house some of the things from the church, will help keep the memory alive for our future generations to remember what a community church was all about. And I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Kavanaugh. He's got some, do we want to have anyone's chance to speak first, or would you like to go through your presentation?
I'm just going to speak extemporaneously on what I know about the church. My family's history was not with them. We were Catholics from St. Helens, but after my mother passed, my dad remarried Ray Button, and her family, her extended family, was deeply involved with that church. I got to know him quite well. Of course, Mark Lewis, Gene, maybe some of the other people that were here, did preschool up there, if you remember. We were in pre-K and I think kindergarten was at our church, so we were very familiar with that building. I go back some with Reverend Betty Clowen. As I said, there were members of that church at the time, but they were certainly welcoming of my father. And most Sundays you would find a Kavanaugh or two or a few more up there after he joined that church. They were wonderful when my dad's step-granddaughter was tragically killed at college. And the entire church family was just kind of rallied around Ray and her family, her daughter and son-in-law. Those are some tough times, and that church really provided a background for that family that they could move forward. More recently, we're going to miss the community dinners. We're going to miss the traditions. The Sunday Easter service at Ladue. These are things that we've lost and are coming back. Don't mean to be entirely sad about it, but when you lose a real backbone of the community and there isn't a replacement in the offing, it changes the community. And that being said, as Mike said, the donations they've made to us and to the Scouts as well, I'm confident will be put to good use. The cemetery maintenance is something that we started on, I'm going to say 10 years ago, and we pushed hard for 2, 3, 4 years, and then something came up with the labor, and it's a limited amount of vendors you can deal with that will do stone lifting, maintenance, rebuild the footers. It's a lengthy process, and we got pushed to the back of the list for a couple of years, and subsequently it kind of fell off our radar, admittedly. 2, 3 years ago, we had another fellow come in that offered his wares for cleaning stones. We took that on. This year, we've got, through Judge Grendel's court, we've got a volunteer, it's not volunteer, it's community service group coming through to do some more of that additional stone cleaning and that. And now we can take this and really put this into a program, I think. With the volunteer and the chipping away at it, we've been trying to do it. We can actually put a 10, 15-year program, maybe an annual program for, quite some time to fix these stones. If you walk through the cemeteries, you'll see them. They're out there. Some of them have a lot of age, some of them don't. Things go wrong and they need to be fixed. And we are going to be able to get into that business and do that. The museum, I believe the way that was worded was to increase the accessibility to the museum and museum maintenance. And I can say that going back prior to this board, prior to a board this guy sat on for a while, there's been thought about moving that building. It sits on a tiny, tiny parcel. You essentially can drive around it. There's no well. There's no restroom facility, obviously. And there was some thought to moving it right over there at one point. Some research was done. It was quite costly at the time, and there were some other things that were ahead of it on the list of things to do. This kind of puts it back on a list of things to do. We've made some contacts already. Haven't got the updated prices. They're going to be significantly higher than they were 15, 20 years ago.
They were in the
Yeah.
$75,000 to $100,000 range back then.
Yeah. But it's something that, as we now there's a park, this building's here, available land now, or kind of a sensible spot to put it. I think the goal when we first started kicking this idea around, or it's been previous boards to these, our age, our generation, wanted to increase the use of that building. So this maybe opens a door that we can look at that pretty hard again. And for that, I thank you.
Yeah, because right now we use the building once a year. We got an exemption from the Board of Health to open it up, even though it doesn't have any bathroom facilities or anything else. So that's the one day a year that we get to use it. And
That's Memorial Day.
yeah, Memorial Day. With the last with COVID, the last couple of years, we haven't even got to use it then. So hopefully we can get this implemented and get it back in the schedule for next year.
We did a major rehab of that building, I think it was '07, and the contractor at the time, since he's passed away, worked with a building mover, and some of the design that he did was considering where he would place the beams to pick that building up and move it. So some of the background work was already done on that, and kind of exciting. Maybe we can revisit that a little bit now again. Mark, or anyone from the church, can I ask you to say a few words? Just
Sure. We'd like to present the checks, and we'd like to give you a little background of why. Come on. We have several people from the church congregation that were with us as we closed. We closed back in December of 19. It's taken this long to facilitate all of our closing procedures. But the first thing I want to do is give Fred, these are the two checks. I separated them so you could have it. I don't know if you need it that way or not. But $75,000 to work on the museum. And again, I hope we left you adequate verbiage to do whatever you need to do with that money, because whether you're moving it or whether you're doing something there, any which way we can have that open to the public, that was something that our congregation wanted to see addressed dramatically. And let me tell you, first of all, the money comes from Auburn Community Church, comes from the congregation past and present. Unfortunately, we had to close because of a lot of different things. We actually got down to about 12 parishioners, I guess. Was that about right? 12?
Yeah.
Give or take. So trying to run the building and everything else, and then what finally broke our back was we lost our boiler. So we were able to have enough money to put another boiler in it, but at that point, there was no money left to truly run the church. So that's the way we kind of fizzled out, unfortunately. We hoped we never would have to do that, but again, it happened. But so in that death, so to speak, new life is the way I look at it. We're hoping, in one of the past parishioners who has passed, Wimpy May, his idea was the cemetery. So I'm going to give him credit for that wholeheartedly, because he was the one that brought that up. And I don't think anybody that we knew, you sat down and discussed it, had any problem with that. And again, his thought process was, we need to preserve that history, because that is our community's history. And that's what he wanted to do with this money, is preserve the community. The money came out of the community because of Auburn Community Church. It was one of the only churches in Auburn for years. And many people from outside Auburn also were parishioners in the church, which was great. But the church was built and created from Auburnites. And the core group of us at the end decided the money needed to go back and be used somehow to benefit Auburn Township. At least that's what we felt. The Boy Scouts and the Cub Scouts got a little bit of money. We also sent money to other UCC churches in the area to fulfill their missions. But the vast majority of the money from the selling the property and whatever we had left is going to the trustees. And we're going to ask you politely to take good care of that and use it well. So basically, at that point, $150,000 in 2 different checks for those 2 different projects. And the trustees happily signed that, both those contracts last meeting with me, and we're pretty well set. That's what I have to do. Any of the other?
Picture us, that check over here, this is Sharon's name.
Oh, you remember my name?
Yeah, we're talking, speaking behind.
Can you, lady, move over just a little, yeah, great, and move on your faces, good, good. Okay, thank you.
So the final word I would say is this is from Auburn Community Church congregation, past and present. It's from everybody that ever was part of the church for any time. And
We'll fold it up, thank you.
Thank you.
I see we've got some scouts here. Did anybody from the scouts want to say anything? Mr. Blue?
I'm Bill Blue, Scout Master, Auburn Troop 101. I'm here with part of the troop. I apologize if it's small. It's for one group. The majority of them are in New York at summer camp. We are here on behalf to say thank you to Auburn Church, not just for the time that any of these boys were in the troop, for the decades and decades that you guys have been here. We've got a young Cub Scout here. Without a strong sponsor that gives the support like Auburn Community Church has in the past, this would not be possible. We need a strong sponsor to help us, a place to meet. All of it is more than that. It's the Sunday services that we attend with you guys, and the relationship with you guys. Even before we were all involved in the group, decades and decades before, you guys have helped make it possible for each gentleman to have a scouting experience. We thank you very much for everything you have done, not just for our troop. Personally, I go back when I was right under him, Reverend John Pinder at the Auburn Church. Thank you for all you've done for our troop, for our community.
Auburn Community Church loves our scouts.
Also, on behalf of the Cub Scouts, we thank you for everything that you've done over the years for us.
Thank you.
Come on, Ruth, I know you're dying to say something. I see the look on your face. I know when your mouth is staying shut, but it doesn't want to be.
Well, Mr. Kavanaugh did say that he was Catholic, but his wife of his she took David Kavanaugh to Sunday school at Auburn Church, and Sue Lewis did a very good job, and I think and so half the family was Protestant, and I just want to say we had so many wonderful old people at the time. Wendy is the last one to go, but gosh, left is Betty Noakes, and she'll be 101. I could, Julia Reeve, my mother-in-law, Ray Kavanaugh, her sister Faye still lives in Flint. I'm going to miss people. Mrs.
Dorothy
Cat
Castle
still
still,
lives,
yes.
Dorothy Cat, and all the school children live.
That's why it's from past and present. There are
Yes.
so many people part of the congregation.
Clemens, George Clemens, who we had in 6th grade, Chagrin, there he is in church.
Many names of him and his many names.
The Lowe sisters, Betty Button, and Mrs. Simmons, Ruth Cathan, that played the organ, just Freddie's parents, with, their folks. A lot of wonderful old people, and it was just a blessing to be here. And I think this is why my David, the Eagle Scout, loved going to church, because he loved the old people. The old people better than him. He had a great time. Mark diminishes what he says, but we had many discussions over this. We didn't want the church to fold. I was a very bad member at the end. We just didn't have enough people coming in, keeping it going. We had no more music, no more heat, and it was just sad. So this is the proceeds from the sale of the building. And these were rough decisions. Wendy was great. When he said cemeteries, I thought, why didn't I think of that? But he did.
He put a pretty good argument for it.
And he
had
said,
a thought.
at his age, he could
He had a
put it
thought.
forward, yeah. And so the scouts are a natural one because David spent all those years with them. We hope you kids use this, for your campouts, for whatever you need it for. That's what we wanted. So, thank you, everybody.
I remember you running in perpetually 5 minutes late with David dragging his leg. If anybody else remembers seeing that, it couldn't have been just me.
Timeliness is not a Kavanaugh virtue all the way around.
Thank you, Ruth. All right, any other comments? Come on, last chance.
There's 3 or 4 photo albums over there that go back several years. Anybody wants to go around and turn some more lights on so you can see them. And Nancy's gotten together some photographs. I think some of that stuff was in the museum. We should just try to bring some memorabilia up here tonight. Maybe you'll appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. I'll have a public comment. Anyone? Okay. In that case, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thanks for doing this.